On a recent live show, I ran a strategy for about 140 rolls or so and actually burned through about $50,000 in our funny money. And it concerned me for a lot of reasons, obviously, but I wanted to see what happened. Where did the strategy go so south? And I don't think it's about the strategy necessarily, but I think it was about money management. I want to take a look today on this episode at a really detailed breakdown of those rolls, of each shooter, of each series, and of each sort of, I don't want to say trend, but each bit of the rhythm that we found ourselves in and find out where that thing went south. You know, I do this a lot and more with other shooters than myself, but I wanted to really see if we could learn something by breaking that thing down. So with that said, let's go ahead and get after it. I'm John. This is ProCraps. Let's break it down. And let's really break down what happened yesterday, because as you know, I played my new favorite strategy. My new favorite strategy is that don't pass parlay. I really like the idea of a progressive strategy from either side, right? I like to stack my wins. That strategy is all about stacking your wins. The danger zone in that strategy is it needs 2 wins in a row to make money, and it needs to have that happen not successive times, but enough times to make it matter, for it to work. It also gets your base bets up pretty high. What happened to us yesterday was we had a good little streak there where we almost recovered some loss, and our bets were so high because we had progressed them so much, which was a good thing. If you get your bets to like 7, 8 units, that's good because it means you've won that many times to get there. But we caught 4 losses in a row and it wiped us out in like a heartbeat. Let's take a look at how the day went. Here's the summary of all the rolls. We had 134 rolls, which is almost 4 times 36. It was like 3.89, whatever. Almost 4 times 36. It's pretty good representation, okay? We had 18 shooters that went yesterday, which is about twice around the table. So I thought to myself as I'm rolling, I'm going, this is taking forever. There was so many rolls yesterday. This is so unrealistic, but really it's 2 times around the table, which I think is good. That's a good representation of what it would look like. We had 24 decisions from the don't pass standpoint. 10 of them were naturals. 10 of them were come out naturals. 9 of them were 7s. 1 of them was an 11, which is insane. It's a lot. Out of 18 shooters, 24 decisions, we had 10 naturals. That was a lot. Shooters made 7 points and they missed 17 points. Now look at that. They made 7 points. They missed 17 points and I still lost money. How do you lose money? How do you lose when there are 17 losers, 17 points missed? How does a don't pass player lose? Well, the don't pass player loses yesterday because he was in the don't come, not the don't pass. So I didn't take advantage at all because of the way I played of any of these. I think 4 or 5 of those were winners for me. The most of those didn't matter. A lot of my losses and wins came other places during the rolls, and you'll see that here in a minute. But yeah, 17 points missed, and we still lost money, which is ridiculous. And again, and I say this to you a lot, out of 18 shooters, we had 7 PSOs. Okay, I say all the time, you're going to see between 25 and 30% of shooters come out with a PSO, and that's what we saw. You'll see it here in the rolls. An inordinate amount. This is higher than I expect. Out of 18, I would expect to see 5 or 6 of those. 0.7 outs, not 7. That's more than I would have expected. And if you add in the 2 shooters that had a point made, 1 hit, and out, 9 of our 18 shooters were out within 2 rolls. Okay, 9 of our 18 shooters were out within 2 rolls. This is why we have this strategy. I know some of you hate it. I know Duracell hates it. I know PJ hates the Headless Horseman. That's why it's a strategy. These shots here, all 9 of those, that's a winner on the DP and a winner in the come. Those are double wins, every single one. That's 9 of the shooters we'd have made huge money on out of the gate. That's why the Horseman's there, because I know that that's a real thing. Now, there were some long rolls that the Horseman would have got killed on, Okay. In fact, there was this miracle roll that I erased. Remember when I erased it? Look at this miracle roll. We had at one point, I'll show it to you. We had a 6, and then you had 11, 7, 7, 7, 7, 12, a 4, and a 7. That's a crazy set of rolls right there. Insane set of rolls. And we even had the come out, the 2 7s succession and come out on the come out to start the day off, right? So the 7s came in bunches. I tell you all the time, believe in trends if you want or don't. I don't think it's a trend. I say things cluster. You'll see these outcomes cluster all the time. And here's the outcome cluster that you see. And I see Old PS is putting out my favorite stat. 28% of shooters, this is an important stat, shooters PSO after their point is established. This is not the number of rolls that are PSOs, because some of these rolls out here, the shooter came in, got a point, did a bunch of rolls. On their next point, they PSO'd. I don't count those as PSOs. I count the shooter walking up and just dropping out a 7 right away. So that's what I'm counting there. Anyway, let's look at the breakdown here of some of the things that actually happened yesterday. So we come out, again, from the don't come, we had 14 wins and 23 losses. And again, there was 7 points made and 17 point missed. So why is that the case? Look at all the losses that I had during the roll. And this is, I think, where I think the big mistake yesterday for me was this. I was experimenting. I told you at the start, we're going to try the don't come instead of the don't pass. I thought, let me just try I want to avoid this, and I want to avoid this, right? All these come out 7s. So I'm like, let's go with the don't come instead of the don't pass. We'll avoid the come out naturals. And we did avoid the come out naturals, but we had all this loss during the roll. The first bad thing was going to DC. The second bad mistake that I made yesterday was doing multiple, right? When I came into the DC here and I lost and I went right back into it, and we lost twice during the same hand. It happened here, it happened here, and it happened a couple more times down below too, where we lost 2 or 3 more times in the same hand. So if I'm gonna do the DC, you cannot do multi, it has to be one time only. That's got to be a new, if I'm going to do it that way, that's got to be the rule. DC is fine, one roll only. I'm not going to replace a loss in the DC like I did here. You'll see later on, that's the reason why we lost in the end, was replacing multiple losses just crushed me at the end. But here you have a pretty good shooter to start out. This shooter here, hold on a second. This guy here is a pretty good roll. I think it's an 11 roller to get going there. And the next guy here doesn't do bad either. He makes a point. He makes a point. He makes a point. Look at that. We're going to look at the pass line option here in a minute. This guy did really well. Makes a point, come out 7, makes a point, couple of inside numbers, and then we end up winning on that one. We got lucky. We should have lost here, but I hedged that one. And the only reason why we got out of that one alive was because I did the one-time hedge. And if you're the kind of person who's tracking a table or charting a table, look at what's going on here, right? Look at the number of wins for the right side player. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 wins. That's not bad right there. 6 wins and only 1, 2, 3 losses. So the right side player is doing pretty good here. If you're charting the table, you're going, hell, I'm getting into that bad boy. I'm jumping into this table. And then you'll find that you get whacked later on. So there is the first series of it. And then you get into this weird, like, short roll thing. And this is, I think, typical of a table. We have a come out 7, set a point, you get an 11. Again, we lost in here on the don't come. And you get a couple of inside hits, points made, winner 7, 0.7 out. And if I'm looking at strategies like the skill 66, like here's where a guy would have 7'd out, we would have came in, I would have bypassed the pass line, I would have bypassed the come out roll. So I'm 66 inside, right? We get a 10, great. Don't get paid on it. We get the 6, we go to 88 inside. We're off for the come out. Here comes the 10, and we're out. And here's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 rolls in here, which normally I can make money in 9 rolls, everybody says. Well, guess what? If you're doing the 66 press and regress, you got nothing out of that. 9 rolls, you made $0. You made $4 on the, not even on the, you never got the regression. You never got in 9 rolls the regression, right? Up here, you do better, right? You go from 66 inside, here you go to 88. On this 5, you come back to 44, and then you get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 hits from 44 inside. That's a good little run right there. Then you get burned coming out on the next shot. So you get 5 hits to make money with, right? And if you're half pressing, you're probably only bringing back about 35 or 40 bucks. You might show a $35, $40 profit here before you get whacked. So you got to like look at these things and go, what would happen if I'd played it this way? Now, we get into down here where you get this other miracle roll. 7 loser. Here's the miracle, right? You get the 6, 7, 6, 11, 7, 7, 7, 7, 7, 12, 4, 7. Like, what the hell happened there, right? That's that miracle run that I have highlighted here on the right side of the screen. That's actually kind of a tough thing to get past for anybody, unless you're on the right side of the thing. But if you're, and I said, if you're charting the table, when are you jumping into this thing, right? If you're a don't pass player or a right side player, you might go, wow, this is the perfect time to get in. If I walked up and I'm charting here and I'm a right side guy, I'm going, geez, there's a lot, the table's going my way, I'm going to jump in. And then you're going to see all these 7s, all these losers come in succession. And what you find is that, that should be green, by the way. What you find is that, like I said, things cluster. Look at the outcomes here. You have this right side sort of play, and then you have 7 out, 7 out. There's a 0.7 out, a 0.7 out, 1 hit and out, 1 hit and out. All those in a row, just like that. It happened so fast yesterday. We were winning here, and this is what got us to even. Remember, we battled back. We were down about 30,000 bucks, and we battled all the way back to having profit in this section because I was at a 7-unit bet or a 6-unit bet down here. We got 2 parlays back to back. We got all the way back up, and then it went to complete shit. And here's where, again, the don't pass, I think, crushed me. The don't pass here, we lose mid-roll, we lose mid-roll, we lose 1, 2, 3 times mid-roll, and then again, as we were coming out, we were back in the don't come. After this loss here, we went back to the DC again and got beat on a come out 7 from the DC. This roll here, we lost 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times out of 7 right there. Boom, just there goes all the money. And then you're down here, and again, same thing. You lose, you set your point here, you lose it in another mid-roll there. So I missed on all those actual 7 outs on the rolls, and I think coming in here for the DC multiple times was a dumb move. Now you look at in reverse and go, what really happened? I did roll shitty, but the real bad move was being in the DC more than one time. Coming back after a loss and trying to reset a don't point was the worst. That was the worst mistake I made. In gameplay, at least. And then, of course, at the bottom there, you see I made a mistake. The last thing I did, of course, yesterday was a horrible day dealing and typing stuff in. I made a big mistake where I marked this as a loser, this 9 as a loser. That was our last money that I thought we lost. We actually, the point for me was 6, not 9. The 7 out would have been a winner for me, not a loser. We would have still been playing for a little bit. But regardless of that, it went to complete. It was horrific, right? Now, let's compare this. If I would have done this from the don't pass, what would have happened? And again, from the don't come, we had 14 wins and 23 losses. If I go just don't pass, it's 13, then 13. That's what you expect from the don't, right? 50-50. 13 and 13, we have 8 come out, 7 losers, though, right? We come out and get banged twice. But then the don't pass is easy, right? You win, bad streak of losses. But again, down here, you're only at level 2, right? I hit 1 parlay here. Right? So I'm at level 2. So I'm only losing 2 units on each of these things, right? And it's a bad table. And you're looking at going, man, if I'm charting the right side, right? If I'm a right side bettor and I'm charting this table, I'm jumping in right about in here. I'm like, yeah, we're crushing it. Somebody leaves, I jump in, and then the right sider gets hammered, right? The don't pass player here gets 4 in a row. That's win in a parlay, a win in a parlay. That's fantastic. We get burned here, win in a parlay, a win in a parlay. And guess what? We're at goal because we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, almost 6 in a row. We had 5 out of 6 or 6 out of 7 went for us. The don't pass player hits goal without having to deal with any of this mess at the bottom, which is interesting. So just by changing the rhythm of what I'm betting on, I'm still a dark player. Don't come, don't pass. The don't pass player would have won 10,000 bucks yesterday without sweating. There was a little bit of sweat in here and a little bit of sweat in here. But again, that patience word I used, with patience on the don't, you would have won just fine yesterday. It would have been A-okay, which is interesting. The don't come versus the don't pass, the rhythm of that, and I think playing multiple times really hurt me. Now, if you look at the pass line player, the right sider, look at that. Right sider wins goal in like the first 5 shooters. He's done. He's like 6 wins, 3 losses. It's like a win and a parlay, a loss and a loss. And then he parlays and parlays again. He's at $10,000 in like 3 shooters or 4 shooters, right? That's fantastic. Yesterday was a right side table. All the 7s that I threw yesterday came at times that were good for the right side guy. So if you, and this is pass line with no odd. This is straight up pass line, no odds. $10,000 yesterday in just that fast of a time because of the rhythm. And again, if you look at this and go, oh, I'm coming in, I'm a right side guy. I'm waiting. We hit 2 points in a row. I jump into somebody's grave and then they get beat like hell down here. Look all the 7 losses that are coming up for that guy, right? Charting a table, to me, I will say it out loud. I love my friend Greg, who charts tables. Charting tables, bullshit. Because you can't predict it, right? In a long session like this, 19 shooters, this looks great for a right side guy. He comes in and gets hammered, right? Looks great for a dark side player, right? Look at that, 7 out, 7 out, 7 out. I'm in, baby. I'm coming in as a dark sider. The table is cold as ice. Loss, and you're getting destroyed, right? I don't believe in charting tables. I do believe that things happen in groups, and you see it here. There are many groups of come out winners. There are many groups of 7 outs that stack up, and I think that's where it's the reason why I made the strategy the way I made it. The reason why I stack my wins and I try for the parlay is because you see this all the time. As a dark sider, as a right sider, you see this all the time, right? You want to jump on a cluster when you can, and that's the genesis of that. But we learned some lessons. We're not going to do the don't come with perpetually replacing our bets. That was a stupid idea. I thought it might work. I thought wrong. It doesn't. I'm sorry. I'm in the way there. I thought it would work. I was totally wrong about that. So I've learned if I'm going to go DC to avoid this, the DC does avoid this, which I like. But we're not gonna get into a situation where we're doing. I'm not going to be susceptible to this anymore. I'm not going to see 4 losses in one hand ever again. That's done, right? So lesson learned there. DC does avoid the multiple come out 7s. DC has to be played like a don't pass, where it's one bet and you're playing against your number and then you're done. That's got to be the way you do it. Let the roll happen around you. That's a lesson number 1. Lesson number 2 is I think we progress our wins to a point. I went too far with it. I got to 7 or 8 unit bets and a parlay was $16,000. Way too much money. I mean, money aside, it's too many units. 50 units, putting 16 out there on a parlay, way too much. I think 5 should be the max. We got to cap it at 5. And I think like a ladder system too, if I were to parlay ladder my losses, I think the same thing. I probably should have, if we laddered losses, I would cap the ladder at 5 and work my way back from 5 instead of going into infinity. And I think infinity was the problem. I think there's got to be a guardrail on this thing. I think that's the secret. So I think having a guardrail, number 1, and enjoying one number against the 7 only per round, whatever you call a DC point. That's it. I'm not going to go back. So I think that's where it is. I think yesterday somebody wrote the word in one of the comments. They said I wasn't being patient. I was being stubborn. True. Very true. And I think what I wanted to do yesterday was, again, I do this all the time. So we talked a short time yesterday about what's John's process. Right, let me go back. I just want to show you something else too before I do that. What's John's process? John's process is this. When I say to you, I practiced last night, right? What does that mean to you? Does that mean to you that I'm sitting back here setting my dice and throwing a billion dice? Right? No. What I'm practicing means is I'm doing this. I'm taking a strategy and I'm rolling it 150 times. And I'm logging every roll and I'm looking at what I did and trying to tweak and find where the holes are. And trying to reduce some of the holes. I talk to my friends about it, right? What did I do wrong? How do I fix it? And we go back. Here's the chart from yesterday, and I'm going to try and zoom in. I think I can zoom in. Hold on. Let me see if I can do it. Yeah, I can. So here's the, first of all, the SRR was 462. A lot of 7s yesterday. And here's kind of the bell curve. So the red is the expected bell curve, right? It looks like a perfect bell. My throws yesterday did not match the bell curve that you expect. We had way more 7s than we should have. We had 29. We should have only had 22. There's a lot more 7s than expected. They came at bad times for me, but they would have been the way they worked out. It was good for certain strategies. We had way more sixes than we should have had, 25 instead of 18, but everything else was underneath. We had a couple more nines. We had like one more 9 instead of 8 or whatever. A couple more 9s than we should have, 15 or 16 instead of 14. A couple more 10s than we should have, but everything else was down. We had not enough 4s, not enough 3s for sure. The 12 was way down. The 10 was down. The 8 was down from where it should have been. So most of my numbers in the bell curve were down. The 6 and the 7 were the dominants yesterday. And 134 rolls, that is a significant number of rolls. You're at least at 4x probability there. It's not enough, but it's 4x what you would have done for roll-wise. So it's interesting, I think, to look through there. And if you look at the actual outcomes here, again, less horn numbers than we expected. Again, the don't come wins when the horns come at the right times. We didn't get them at all. The box numbers were actually spot on. We got exactly the number of box numbers we expected, just that there was more 6s than other ones, which was weird. The inside numbers were within a couple of each other. The outsides were almost there, and the hard ways were almost there. Now, this hard way number is wrong. You can ignore that, because when I typed in the numbers, I had to retype in every number. I watched the whole video and typed them all in because I deleted partway through yesterday the rolls. So I didn't put the hard ways in correctly. I just kind of was typing super fast. So this number is inaccurate. But the numbers of insides, outside, and boxes were pretty much where you'd expect them to be. It was the 7s came out and the come outs so often for us. So that's a big breakdown there. Let me get back to normal size there. And that's how yesterday looked. So let me go back over here, the regular view of it, and just finish up our talk here. So I think breaking it down, again, it doesn't matter to break it down. I mean, you can look at this thing in hindsight all day long. Yeah, you shoulda, coulda, woulda. Yeah, if you saw the trend. And it's not about trend watching. It's about looking at patterns of things that happen. And the pattern that jumped out to me, the number one pattern I saw yesterday was in the don't come, not going back in after I get beat. That was the big mistake. We got beat 4 times in one session inside the DC by replacing that bet and getting burned. That happened multiple times where I got beat more than once in the DC bets. That clearly is a red flag to me, right? So that's coming out of the strategy for sure. I think the don't pass is fine. I think that getting beat on multiple naturals in a row hurt. We saw multiple naturals 3 different times. There was multiple naturals on the come out where the right side bettor gets paid. The dark side bettor gets hammered. Interesting when you see there was 9 come out 7s, which kills the dark side guy, but 17 missed points, which wins for the dark side guy. If you look at that, 10 naturals and 17 points missed versus made, that's where your even numbers, that's why it was 13-13, wins and losses, because the naturals 100% equaled out the points being missed. That's a fascinating stat right there for the dark side guy. And again, it's timing, right? If you walked up to the table as a right side or a dark side player during that roll of 135, you would have experienced a really cold or really hot table as you saw it. But again, you chart that table and you go, that thing is great. You jump in and that's when it turns ugly. That happens all the time to us. I think charting tables is a mistake. I don't think there's any correlation from what's happened to what's about to happen. I think that there's nothing to that, especially when the dice are changing hands. From shooter A to shooter B doesn't mean anything. And I think that's what I got to say about that. I just don't believe in charting tables. I do believe in clusters. I don't believe in trends in terms of it's happening, so it's going to keep happening. I believe that, as you can see, things happen in groups, and if you're in a group, fantastic. If you can power play your group and you can press up while you're in that group and catch a couple in a row, that's it. That's the strategy is designed to capitalize on that situation only. So there it is. That's my breakdown of my horrifying roll yesterday. I hope that was informative. And I've done this a couple of times with other shooters, never myself. So it's good to see kind of like the way that my brain processes what happened and the way that I make changes to the way I play. So cool. So lots to unpack there. I think we learned a lot from looking at those rolls. Now, again, it's got to be said, you cannot go back in history and make changes. You cannot, as you're at the table, look in history and make any sort of decision about what's about to happen. What you can do, though, I think, is look back at history and see the things that your strategy missed, your holes, and just play mistakes that you made so that you don't make them again. I think here we learned about maybe limiting how high we get those parlays, not the parlay itself, but how high we get our base bet, maybe putting a ceiling on that, maybe a little bit of regression into when you lose, go back a little bit, not always stay quite so high. I think keeping the bets high in that strategy can work. But if you catch it ugly, like we did there at the end, in that last couple of rollers, it really goes south really fast. You saw how fast that money went away. So I think there's some money management lessons to learn in there. I think the strategy itself, chasing the win, staying aggressive on the win is smart, but I don't think we did a very good job of managing bankroll and bet size throughout it. So lessons learned. It was fun to break that thing down, and I appreciate your time. I appreciate you being a subscriber, watching our videos, and again, leaving comments, right? Leave us comments. Let me know what you think about A, the roll breakdown, B, the rollout, and C, my conclusions to it. Good to have you aboard. Thanks again for watching. I'm John. This is ProCraps. I'll see you in the next one. God bless.